Okay, in the next set of videos, we're going to look at when there are changes to the terms of a loan, which obviously happen in real life all the time. And therefore, the initial repayment amounts and things like that are sort of no longer going to finish the loan after the same amount of time. And so sometimes you'll adjust the payment amount, sometimes the interest rate will change, sometimes you'll decide you want to pay off your loan quicker. And so we're going to see how that affects the loan as we sort of move through each payment. So here you can see an amortization table where there's a loan of 400,000. We've calculated from the beginning of the loan if there are 360 payments, so that's across 30 years, so that's like a standard mortgage, with a rate of 3.8%. The repayment amount to finish the mortgage exactly on the final payment is that. Now, in reality, that's not going to happen because you're going to get to the final payment and there will have been so many changes throughout the course of the loan that actually you won't exactly pay it off at the last payment. So if I was to sort of change after, say, 1 year, the interest rate, so after 12 payments, the interest rate changes, then effectively I need to recalculate the repayment amount if I was to finish off the loan exactly on time. But in reality, that doesn't happen. Your repayment amount stays the same. And what happens is the final payment will just be a little bit different from all of the other ones, just to sort of catch up the last bit. Sometimes you'll see this in Finance Solver as n coming up as a decimal. So let's look at some examples now to make sense of this. If I look at the changing of the rate, first of all, which is the sort of the most common one to look at. So let's look at this loan here of $12,000. It's being repaid monthly with installments of $140.18 with an interest rate of 11.5, which is a kind of personal loan level of interest. So it's a bit higher than a mortgage, but it's only for $12,000. So this is something you'd get for maybe buying a car or something if you needed a loan for it. After how many months will half the loan be paid off? So this is a job for Finance Solver. We're going to put in everything we know. So let's go back to the question. We've got our PV, which is the principal value. We've got our PMT, which is the payment amount. We've got our I, interest rate, which is 11.5%. We've got the CPY, PPY number, 12, because it's all monthly. FV, we want to pay half of it off. So FV will be half of what was the original. So FV must be 6,000. And because it's still owing, it will be negative 6,000. Okay, and whereas the 12,000 is positive because it's money being given to the person. So let's just type all those in now. So we don't know what N is, that's the unknown. I is going to be 11.5. To just hop through these, just press tab, it's quickest. PV is 12,000 positive because it's gone to the person. PMT is negative $140.18, and it's negative because they are paying that back to the bank. FV we're going to put as $6,000, but it's a negative $6,000 because it's still owing to the bank. And PPY is 12, CPY is 12. So this will give us a value of N. Now you can see here that it's 124 payments, 0.6. So clearly, after the 124th payment, it's not quite down to 6,000 yet. And on the 125th payment, it's gone slightly over 6,000 that we've paid off. So it's somewhere in between. So the question's really important here. It says, after how many months will the loan be half paid off? So it will be after the 125th month, technically. So you're going to have to round up for that one. You sometimes have to round up even when the number is below 5, because if you think about it, it's after. So to show your workings out for this in a SAC, it's expected that you write down what you put in Finance Solver. So you write N equals question mark, I equals 11.5, V equals 12,000. Okay, and then that gives us a value of 124.6. So we can say after. Okay, because as you can see from like the example amortization table, we rarely land on nice round numbers. Okay, it's very, very rare indeed. In fact, most of the time it's always like to, some specific cent. So that's something to bear in mind when you have these questions. You're never going to land on round numbers like 6,000. For part B, if after this amount of time the interest rate is increased to 12%, how long will it take to pay off the loan, the rest of the loan? So once again, we're going to have to write out our IPV. So once again, these are 12. This is now going to be 0 because we want to get down to 0. We don't know how long again, and the interest rate is now 12%. And now this is the tricky bit. We need to know what the PV was here. Now the principal value is the number that you got to in the first part of the loan. So what we actually need to do here is we need to work out PV from another calculation starting from the beginning. So this is with the 11.5% interest rate. PV was 12,000. PMT 40.28. FV was 6 grand, but negative 6 grand. But I'll come back to that in a second. We didn't get exactly the 6 grand. What we got to was a number before 6 grand after the 124th payment. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out on the 124th payment what number did we get to, and that is the number that we're going to use as the starting point for the second part of the loan. So you need to divide the loan into two lives. So you've got the first life with the 11.5% interest, and you need to know what that got to, like what the balance was, and then you need to transfer that to a second calculation where it becomes the PV, the principal value, and then work out how much is left on the loan. I should add 140.28 there because that remains the same. So let's go back to the question. On here we're going to put as 124 payments, and we're going to work out what FV was. So it comes out as $6,053 left. Okay, and that will now go up here. Now that was a negative number because it was still owing, but up here it's a positive number because it's in their person's bank account left to be paid. So that comes as a positive number. And now what we're going to ask in the second calculation is how long does that take to go from 6,053 down to 0 using the same repayment but with a 12% interest rate. So that's another calculation we can do here. Now this is where control copy is really helpful. So control C, and then here I press control V, and I just get rid of the negative symbol there. That's really important. This now becomes 0. This changes to 12, and this changes to an unknown, where we just press enter, and it comes out of 56 payments, 0.82. So that's again a decimal. So the final repayment is going to be a bit less than a normal whole repayment. So to finish off loans, most of the time the final one is a bit smaller than all the other ones have been. So let's have a look at what the question says. How long will it take to pay off the rest of the loan? So in this case, you're going to have to round it up. So you're going to have to say it's going to take 57 more months to finish the loan. Okay, so that's an example. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to do it if we change the repayment amount.